There is a specific kind of silence that arrives at 3 in the morning. It is not a peaceful quiet, but a heavy, expectant stillness where the mind begins its nightly interrogation. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, cycling through conversations that have already happened and disasters that have not yet arrived. The heart accelerates, the chest tightens. In this dark, isolated space, you are attempting to solve the unsolvable equation of tomorrow, convinced that if you just worry enough, you might somehow prevent the world from falling apart. This is the modern condition of the human soul. We operate under the quiet, desperate assumption that our vigilance is the only thing keeping the roof from caving in. We grip the steering wheel of our lives until our knuckles turn white, terrified that a single moment of inattention will invite catastrophe. Every email, every interaction, every shift in the wind feels like a variable we must manage, a threat we must neutralize. The burden of this constant calculation is absolute exhaustion. The world around us actively feeds this illusion. We are surrounded by screens and systems that promise total mastery over our environment. Algorithms predict our preferences, dashboards track our sleep cycles, and endless streams of data suggest that every aspect of existence can be optimized, measured, and brought to heel. We are sold the lie that uncertainty is simply a failure of planning, a bug in the system that can be eradicated with enough effort and the right strategy. But reality refuses to comply with our spreadsheets. The friction between our desperate demand for certainty and the inherent unpredictability of existence is the exact space where our deepest suffering is born. We are trying to place a grid over a raging ocean. When the waves inevitably crash over the lines we have drawn, we feel not just disappointed, but betrayed. We believe we have failed, when in truth we were playing a game that could never be won. Stop for a second and notice the physical weight of that effort. Feel the tension resting at the base of your neck, the shallow, uneven rhythm of your breathing. That is the physical manifestation of trying to hold the universe together with your bare hands. It is the bodily cost of living in a state of permanent resistance to the reality of what is. Let the sheer impossibility of that task wash over you. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a man who understood the crushing weight of powerlessness offered a way out. Epictetus was born into chains, his body legally owned by another, his physical autonomy entirely stripped away. If anyone had a reason to be consumed by the chaos of his circumstances, it was him. Yet from the depths of total subjugation he discovered a profound, unshakable liberty. It was this radical perspective on human freedom that Epictetus taught us. The philosophy he helped shape, Stoicism, is often deeply misunderstood today. It has been reduced to a grim suppression of emotion, a cold endurance of pain. But true Stoicism is not about turning yourself into stone. It is an investigative framework for seeing the architecture of reality clearly. It is a method for cutting through the fog of our delusions and identifying exactly where our power lies, and more importantly, where it does not. At the very center of his teaching lies a concept known as the dichotomy of control. It is a brutal, beautiful dividing line drawn straight through the center of human experience. On one side of the line are the things that belong entirely to us. On the other side is everything else. Epictetus argued that our misery comes from a simple, tragic error in navigation. We spend our lives trying to command the side of the line that will never obey us. Consider the things that fuel your daily anxiety, the shifting moods of your colleagues, the trajectory of the global economy, the perception others have of your character, the sudden onset of illness. We pour our life force into these external vessels, hoping our frantic energy will somehow act as a shield against tragedy. We obsess over the outcome of our efforts, believing that our intense desire for a specific result will bend reality to our will. But this obsession is a trap. When we tie our inner peace to the shifting sands of external events, we make ourselves hostages to fortune. If your sense of stability depends on the approval of a stranger or the success of a project or the health of a fragile body, you will forever be at the mercy of the wind. You are handing the keys to your sanity to a world that does not know your name and does not care about your plans. Anxiety is not a protective shield. It is a quiet thief in the night. It steals the vivid reality of the present moment to pay off an emotional debt for a future that has not even occurred. It drains the warm blood from today to water the cold ghosts of tomorrow. Recognize this theft for what it is. See the mechanism clearly and feel the senselessness of paying a heavy toll for a bridge you may never actually cross. The dichotomy of control asks us to stop paying that toll. It asks us to draw a tight, impenetrable circle around our own minds. Inside that circle are our judgments, our impulses, our desires, and our aversions. These are our own doing. They are the only domain where we have absolute sovereignty. How we interpret a rude comment, how we choose to act in a crisis, what we value, these are the only things that truly belong to us. Everything outside that circle is classified as indifferent. Our bodies, our property, our reputations, the actions of our leaders, the weather, the traffic, they are not ours. We can influence them, certainly. We can eat well, work hard, and speak kindly, but we can never guarantee the outcome. The modern world screams at us to fixate on the outcome, to judge our worth by the metrics of success, wealth, and status. We are conditioned to believe that if we just buy the right insurance, adopt the right diet, and utilize the right productivity tools, we can build a fortress against the unpredictable. We construct elaborate lives designed to insulate us from pain, but the fortress is made of paper. A single microscopic virus, a sudden market crash, a random accident on a Tuesday afternoon, any of these can tear through our paper walls in an instant. When the fortress falls, the person who believed they were in control shatters along with it. They are left standing in the ruins of their expectations, paralyzed by the sudden realization of their own vulnerability. But the one who has internalized the dichotomy sees the collapse differently. They knew the walls were fragile from the beginning. They never placed their security in the bricks. They placed it in their own capacity to endure the storm. To embrace this reality is to fundamentally shift our relationship with existence. Surrender to unpredictability is an act of strength, not a white flag of defeat. It is the ultimate form of courage. You are looking the chaotic, indifferent universe in the eye and accepting it exactly as it is without demanding it conform to your preferences. You are dropping the exhausting charade of omnipotence. Imagine the profound relief of setting down a massive weight you were never actually meant to carry. Feel the sudden lightness in your chest, the release in your jaw, when you realize you do not have to orchestrate the complex movements of the stars. You only have to tend to your own small patch of earth. You are allowed to let the universe manage itself. We resist this surrender because it feels terrifying. We fear that if we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, our lives will spiral into chaos. We mistake our chronic panic for responsible productivity. We cling to our worry like a talisman, convinced that letting go of our anxiety means we no longer care about the people and the projects we love so deeply. But what if the exact opposite is true? What if dropping the illusion of control is the very mechanism that allows you to respond to life with genuine effectiveness? When your mind is no longer consumed by the frantic attempt to force an outcome, all of that bound-up energy is suddenly released. You are no longer fighting the existence of the storm, which means you can finally focus your full attention on navigating the ship. This is how we find peace in chaos, not by magically calming the waters around us, but by anchoring ourselves so deeply within our own character that the turbulence cannot uproot us. We stop asking the world to be fair or predictable or kind. We ask only that we meet whatever the world presents with dignity, reason, and grace. We reclaim our energy from the void of the uncontrollable. The peace we are all desperately searching for is never going to be found in a perfectly curated life. It will not arrive when your bank account reaches a certain threshold, or when your relationships are completely free of unpredictable conflict. The modern promise of a friction-free existence is a dangerous mirage. It is an illusion that keeps us walking endlessly through the scorching desert, forever thirsty, always believing the oasis is just over the next sand dune. Epictetus did not promise a life free of pain. He knew firsthand the brutality of human existence. What he offered was something far more resilient. He promised a mind that could withstand the brutality, a spirit that could remain undisturbed and unbroken even as the world burned around it. He taught us that true freedom is an internal posture, completely independent of external chains. Take a slow, deliberate breath. Let the uncontrollable things remain completely uncontrollable. Watch your deepest fears and your most frantic desires move through your awareness like dark, heavy clouds passing across a vast, endless sky. You are not the storm, you are not the clouds, you are the sky itself, untouched, expansive, and perfectly still beneath the turbulent weather of the world. When you finally stop trying to dictate the terms of your existence, the war is over. You no longer need to conquer the future because you have fully inhabited the present. By relinquishing your grip on the external world, you gain absolute mastery over the internal one. In the very heart of the chaos, you discover that the quiet center you were searching for was within you all along.